They say the ocean can hide secrets in its tides, but some truths wash ashore when you least expect them. The breeze smelled of salt and sunscreen. The sun hovered lazily over the horizon, casting golden light on the quiet American seaside town where Liam lived all his life. His father's voice had echoed in the kitchen that morning, warm and resolute. "She needs the ocean, son. Let her heal a little. It's the least we can do after what she's been through." Liam had nodded, heart heavy with sympathy. After all, Hoey had just lost her mother, and Ronan, his always composed, always helpful father, had stepped in the way a father should. Suggesting they all take a trip to the coast seemed generous, loving, even. Liam didn't question it. Not then. Now, 2 weeks into the so-called healing vacation, Liam sat alone on the porch of the rental house, fingers loosely wrapped around his camera. A click of the shutter might have helped distract him. Until his phone buzzed. A message from Noah. No text, just a photo. He opened it. The image wasn't grainy. It wasn't zoomed in from a distance. It was clear, almost too clear. Holy, barefoot in a blue sundress, standing next to Ronan on the shoreline, both laughing, her head tilted back in easy joy. But it wasn't the laughter that made Liam's stomach twist. It was his father's hand resting on her lower back, too familiar, too comfortable. He stared at the image for a full minute, his mind refusing to process what his eyes were screaming. The front door creaked behind him. Holy's voice floated out, cheerful and airy. "We're going to the boardwalk. You coming?" Liam looked over his shoulder and forced a half smile. "In a bit," he lied. As the door clicked shut again, he zoomed in on the photo. The details became sharper. Her earring, the one she said she'd lost, was clearly visible. The timestamp in the corner, yesterday afternoon. She'd told him she was taking a walk alone. He swallowed the knot in his throat. It could mean nothing. But he knew how his father looked when he was invested in something. Ronan was a master of composed warmth. It was how he convinced clients, how he won trust. And Liam knew that charm, he inherited a watered-down version of it himself. The difference was Liam never used it to lie. He exhaled and tapped the photo, sending it to his own editing app. Maybe he was being paranoid. Maybe grief had brought them close. But maybe, no. He needed to know for sure. His fingers tightened around the camera resting in his lap. If there was a truth buried in the sand, he'd dig it up, frame by frame. Liam didn't sleep that night. The laughter from the neighboring rooms had long since died, replaced by the rhythmic ticking of the old wall clock in the beach house. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan, its blades slicing through the silence like quiet accusations. That image, his father's hand, her smile, their closeness, burned behind his eyelids every time he blinked. By morning, he'd made up his mind. He needed answers. It began with the stories. Lily had always loved sharing snippets of her day on social media. Sunsets, smoothies, spontaneous dances by the water. Liam knew her aesthetic. Low saturation, soft light, effortless joy. But now he was watching her stories like a detective, not a boyfriend. He paused one clip, her spinning in a sundress, smiling into the lens. Behind her, reflected in the glass door, a shadow moved. Tall, broad shoulders. A man holding a phone, watching her. Liam's breath caught. He zoomed in. The angle, the posture, it was unmistakable. Ronan. He wore the same pale linen shirt Liam had seen him leave the house in earlier that day. Liam had tagged the story, "City Day, alone time, another lie." He stood and crossed to the desk, opening his laptop. As it powered on, he reached for his small black case, the one that held memory cards and backups. Years of photography had taught him to capture what others missed. That skill was no longer a hobby, it was armor. A few hours later, Liam found himself near the local tattoo parlor, the one tucked behind the surf shop. He hadn't planned to go in, but then he saw them. Through the large salt-smudged window, Ronan sat in a chair, his shirt rolled up. Beside him, Holy was perched on a stool, laughing. They were showing their wrists to the tattoo artist. Matching designs. He froze. A wave minimalist and clean curved around the inked date beneath it, 6.03. His mother's birthday. No, he corrected himself. Holly's mother's birthday. The official reason for this entire vacation, a tribute, a memory, or a bond too intimate to explain? Liam stepped away from the window before they saw him. His heart thudded, not from betrayal, but from clarity. Piece by piece, the puzzle was assembling itself, and he didn't like the image that was forming. Later that night, Holy returned to the house, cheeks glowing from the ocean wind. She tossed her beach bag onto the floor and greeted Liam with a kiss on the cheek. "You okay?" she asked, tilting her head. "You've been quiet." He smiled. "Just thinking about Mom, about you." She softened. "She'd want you to enjoy this place." "Yeah," he said, studying her carefully. "She would." She didn't notice his glance drift to her wrist. A bracelet now covered the tattoo. He turned away before she caught the flicker in his expression. Later, when she fell asleep beside him, he slipped out of bed, careful not to wake her. In the quiet glow of his screen, he plugged in the small flash drive she'd accidentally left in her bag earlier that day. It had been zipped between two sunscreen bottles. Forgotten or hidden. Folder, private_trip. Photo loaded one by one. The beach, the tattoo studio, the inside of a hotel room. Not theirs. Ronan in the mirror. Holly asleep on his chest. No more shadows, no more doubt. Liam's hands shook slightly as he closed the laptop. There was no screaming, no tears, just a terrible, anchored silence that settled in his bones like cold salt water. He sat by the window, watching the sea. The truth wasn't a wave, it was a riptide dragging everything familiar out to sea. But now he knew, and knowing was the beginning of control. The next morning, the world looked unchanged. Seagulls still cried overhead, waves still licked the shoreline in soft, repetitive sighs, and the morning sun still spilled its golden warmth through the windows of the rented beach house. But for Liam, something fundamental had shifted. He moved through the house like a ghost, drifting between smiles and nods, answering casually, masking the quiet storm behind his eyes. Corey laughed over breakfast, scrolling through her phone while spooning cereal into her mouth. Ronan sipped his black coffee by the patio, sunglasses perched on his nose, face unreadable. Neither of them knew Liam had spent the night combing metadata from the photos on the flash drive, time-tapped, geotagged, indisputable. He had compiled them all into a hidden folder on his hard drive titled Final Cut. He didn't need confrontation, he needed certainty. And proof. Liam had learned long ago that stories told through images often revealed more than the subjects intended. That was the paradox of photography. It froze lies alongside truth. It made the invisible visible. It was time he turned that lens back on them. That afternoon, Liam suggested a walk through the market streets downtown, his tone deliberately light. "I want to shoot some footage," he said. "Get the atmosphere." Chloe eagerly agreed. Ronan, ever the gracious father, tagged along with his typical air of forced interest. Liam carried his camera and gimbal, but this time he wasn't looking for sunsets or seagulls. He was watching them. He watched the way Ronan hovered behind Holayan crowds, brushing too close. The way she smiled up at him when she thought no one was looking. He captured reflections in windows, shadows aligning in ways they shouldn't. He even caught a moment at a fruit stand when Ronan reached over her shoulder to grab an orange, his hand grazing her neck longer than necessary. The camera didn't lie, it simply waited. Later that day, Liam excused himself early from a dinner plan, citing a work call. Instead, he visited the hotel from the photos. He approached the receptionist with a calm confidence, flashing a university ID and a plausible story. "I'm a film student," he said, "working on a documentary about the local tourism economy. I'm looking into how hotels handle privacy in guest spaces. Would you mind showing me the camera angles for public areas?" Strictly academic. The receptionist, young and flattered, nodded. "We don't keep footage too long, but if it's just for a school project, sure." 10 minutes later, Liam had access to hallway camera clips, compressed and time-stamped. He didn't need to see much, just enough to confirm what the photos already suggested. Chloe and Ronan, same elevator, same floor, same night. She wasn't just grieving, he wasn't just helping. Back at the house that night, Liam stared at the footage in silence. His laptop glowed in the darkness like an interrogation lamp. Every click, every edit, every fade was a decision. How much to show? How hard to push? He decided then it wasn't just about the betrayal, it was about truth. His truth. So he began to build it. The video started soft. Clips of the ocean, candid moments of the vacation, footage of Holy smiling, of Ronan toasting wine. Then came the details. The overlapping shadows and stories, the metadata overlays, the tattoo footage side by side, timestamp, the hotel hallway clip, the images from the flash drive, and the voiceover. He recorded it once, raw. "I used to think truth was something you found, but sometimes it's something you make visible. He spliced in his monologue over slow motion shots of the two of them laughing on the beach, oblivious. Love isn't always lost in loud fights. Sometimes it slips away silently, when hands rest where they shouldn't, when lies wear the clothes of kindness, when fathers stop being fathers. The video ended with a single still frame, wholly asleep, head on Ronan's chest. The silence after was deafening. The next morning, Liam returned to the breakfast table with a different energy. He smiled more, he joked, he offered to cook. Holy raised an eyebrow, amused. Ronan accepted a second helping of eggs, pleased. Liam studied them with detached curiosity. Now that he had control, their deception looked small, fragile. He didn't feel rage anymore, just precision. That afternoon, he asked casually, would you guys be up for a little screening tonight? I've been filming the whole trip. Figured I'd put something together. Buddy clapped her hands, delighted. You're actually editing it? That's so sweet. Ronan gave a proud smile. Of course he is. Always been talented, my boy. Liam nodded, suppressing the twist in his chest. He didn't correct the possessive. 7 o'clock, he said, living room. I'll bring snacks. The projector was already set up when they entered. Even Liam's younger sister had arrived, curious about the vacation recap. Everyone sat, the lights dimmed, and Liam hit play. The living room was silent except for the low hum of the projector. The opening shot of the ocean shimmered on the white wall, golden light rippling across water. Hoey smiled, pulling her knees to her chest on the couch beside Liam's sister, completely unaware of what was coming. Ronan leaned back in the armchair, one ankle resting casually over his knee, fingers drumming on the armrest. Liam didn't sit. He stood near the laptop, one hand on the keyboard, eyes watching him. More than the screen. The first few minutes played like a vacation reel, sunsets, beach walks, a slow pan of a cafe table set for three, laughter, clinking glasses, candid footage of Holy holding a seashell to her ear, smiling directly into the lens. Then the tone shifted. The video slowed, the colors dulled. A photo appeared. Host story clip. Paused on the moment her reflection captured Ronan standing behind her. Liam's voice entered the frame. Some things are invisible until we learn how to see. Another shot, the same moment but with shadows traced in red, timestamp blinking softly in the corner. Then a split screen. Left. Close beat selfie, smiling. Alone time, the caption read. Right, Ronan in the background, mirrored in a store window. Same time, same place. The silence in the room grew thick. Hoey shifted. Liam, what is this? He didn't answer. Not yet. The next clip was darker. Inside the tattoo studio, the inked waves on their wrists. The artist's voice, clear from a clip Liam had enhanced. Romantic, you guys got the same one. You'll never forget this trip. Someone in the room inhaled sharply. The video kept going. A security cam shot of a hotel hallway. The elevator opening, Hollow stepping out. A few seconds later, Ronan, same floor, same direction. Another pause. Trust, Liam's voice said over the still frame, isn't broken all at once. It splinters. Quietly. Then a photo, low, asleep on a hotel bed, Ronan's chest bare behind her, his phone visible in the mirror. Taking the photo, the silence shattered. Oh my God, Liam's sister whispered. Holy stood up abruptly. Liam, what the hell is this? This is out of context. Ronan remained still. Only his jaw twitched. The video played on. Metadata screens flashed quickly, pinpointing locations, times. The beach photo from Noah, now enlarged with color correction and overlays. Ronan's hand, clearly intimate, curved against Holy's back. The voiceover cut in again. I used to think loyalty was inherited, like eye color. But some things, it turns out, skip a generation. The screen went dark. Just audio now. A quiet clip, almost inaudible at first, then clearer. The tattoo artist again. Most couples just get initials. You guys did it classy. Liam closed the laptop. No one moved. Chloe's face had gone pale. This isn't fair, she said, her voice cracking. You've been spying on me? I wasn't, Liam said quietly, until I had to. You manipulated all of this, she snapped, eyes shining. You twisted it into something ugly. No, he said, you did that. Ronan stood slowly, brushing invisible dust from his slacks. I think we should all calm down. Liam turned toward him. No, Dad, we're past that. He took a step forward. You brought her here. You told me it was to help her. You lied, both of you. You didn't just betray me. You made a fool of me. In my own home, Ronan said nothing. And the worst part, Liam continued, voice low. I believed you. I tried to believe that this was just grief, that I was being paranoid. Bo opened her mouth, but he raised a hand. Don't. She sat back down slowly. I gave you the benefit of the doubt again and again. I looked for excuses, for reasons, and all the while you were making memories together, getting matching tattoos, hiding in hotel rooms. Ronan finally spoke. You don't understand. No, Liam interrupted. I finally do. He let the words settle like dust after a collapse. For a moment, no one breathed. Then Liam turned to his sister. I'm sorry you had to see that, but you deserve to know, too. She nodded wordlessly, eyes fixed on the dark screen. Liam stepped toward the door. I'm done. Where are you going? Chloe asked. Away, he said, not turning around, somewhere the truth doesn't have to be edited. The sky was overcast when Liam reached the beach. Gone were the golden tones that once blanketed this place in warmth. Now, muted blues and silvers stretched across the horizon, the sea churning with a quiet restlessness that matched his own. He walked slowly across the damp sand, camera bag over one shoulder, the wind pulling gently at his shirt. No one followed him. Back at the house, the silence he left behind was likely still ringing. Holy's tears, Ronan's stunned expression, his sister's disbelief. It no longer mattered. That confrontation had never been about winning. It was about ending. Now came the part no one talks about, the part after the truth. He dropped his bag gently on the sand and pulled out his camera, not to record anyone else, not this time. He turned it on himself, tripod set low, the ocean in the background. He pressed record and sat down cross-legged in the frame, fingers digging into the cool earth beneath him. For a moment he said nothing. The wind filled the silence. Then he looked into the lens. I used to think family was something fixed, something permanent, something safe. He blinked slowly, steady. Turns out it's just another story we tell ourselves, one that sounds true until it isn't. Behind him, the sea rose and fell in its endless rhythm. I didn't make this video to get revenge. I made it because I needed to see it, all of it, without the excuses, without the sugarcoating, because when someone keeps lying to you, the only thing more dangerous than believing them is starting to lie to yourself. He glanced down, hands clasped. Chloe was my person, or so I thought. And Ronan, he was the one man I never thought I'd question. But when people show you who they are, eventually you have to stop closing your eyes. He looked back up, breath slower now, calmer. This isn't the end of my story. It's just the part where I stopped letting other people write it for me. He reached forward and stopped the recording. The soft click of the camera felt final. For a long time he sat there, just listening, to the waves, to the faint call of gulls in the distance, to his own heartbeat, slower now, quieter, but steady. A new kind of silence. They need to go back to the house. Not now, maybe not ever. The only thing left there was wreckage. And wreckage, he had learned, wasn't always meant to be rebuilt. Sometimes it was meant to be left behind. He picked up the camera, slid it into the bag, and stood. As he began to walk again, the wind carried the faint scent of salt and seaweed, sharp and honest. It didn't pretend to be anything else. There was something freeing in that. At the edge of the shore, Liam paused. Waves licked at his shoes. He stared out at the gray line where sea met sky and smiled, just slightly. Not because things were okay, but because they would be